He was a highly decorated colonel, a man who flew the Queen of England and commanded an entire military base. But behind the medals and the rank lived a terrifying predator. In the next 40 minutes, you will witness a psychological masterclass. Watch as a brilliant detective uses nothing but a pair of boots and tire tracks to break the ego of a powerful man. This is the downfall of Colonel Russell Williams.
Interviewed by NIS for top secret clearance.
All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Delaware way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with, and that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. Again, I appreciate it. We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today, okay? And the reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you, okay? I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not.
I'm a coffee guy.
I drink in front of you, so.
No, I appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
I could definitely get the black.
Yeah, they're just black with sugar. So, what's that?
Gum. Just
okay.
a piece of gum.
Well, there's napkins there if you want to toss it away.
I appreciate that.
All right, and again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough, but again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I know I ask you to do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are, just like everybody else. Okay. Have you ever read your rights before?
No.
I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version, so I'll go over with you briefly, okay? Basically in Canada, as you know, I'm sure, we all have our rights guaranteed under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, okay? Now, Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that they're obviously not under arrest here today, okay? Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want, okay? If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you feel you want to talk to a lawyer about, you just let me know, okay? And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here, okay? Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating, okay? Essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences, that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay. In November of 2009, a lady by the name of Marie-France Como was found murdered in her home in Brighton, and we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well. And then, most recently, we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay, so essentially, when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges. All right, we're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement. Okay. And what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right? And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need you want to speak to a lawyer, let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private.
Okay.
Do you have your own lawyer?
I have a realty lawyer, but I don't have a lawyer.
All right. If at any point you want to make that call and you don't know who to call.
Detective Jim Smyth starts with a friendly tone, making Williams feel like he's just here to help with a routine investigation. This is a classic, soft approach to lower the suspect guard.
At some point.
So if we were to, do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say, Russell Williams,
Absolutely.
This?
No.
Okay.
Very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is you seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off some alarm bells in our investigation, right? Okay. So the next thing we need to cover off is, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch. I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think that's what we're going to ask you to do,
Okay.
all right? Now, we have a process we have to go through to do that.
Okay.
And for the blood sample, I don't take the blood sample. We have specially trained officers that are trained to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to step out and make sure they're still available.
Can I assume you're going to be discreet?
It's possible, yeah.
Because this would have a very significant impact on the base if they thought you thought I did this.
Well, Russell, that's one of the reasons we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Military certainly be of great assistance to us, especially in relation to Miss Como's investigation. So that's certainly one of the things that went into our decision to give you a call at home today and see if we could deal with this today.
Okay.
So, okay.
Because it's tough to undo the rumor mill once it gets started.
Now that you've had some time to, I know we've been throwing a lot of things at you here, but now you've had some time to think about things. Is there anything that you're concerned about that buccal swab matching in any of those 4 residences? Is there, I guess, let me explain what I'm getting at here, Russell, okay? This is a significant investigation, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
That DNA is going to be significant in our investigation, both, quite possibly to help you, quite possibly to help us.
Understood.
I don't know yet, I don't know what the result is yet. And I'll go back to the example I gave you, because it's a very similar issue, I think, and you talked about the idea of discretion here, okay? You talked about the idea that, I think, hopefully you appreciate the fact of how we approached you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And essentially, we have no issues with that, okay? We talked recently about, the whole idea of any unusual sex acts in your history, but another thing that can often happen in cases like this is that people become concerned about things like extramarital affairs, indiscretions along those lines. Is there any contact that you may have had with any of those 4 women that you may not want your wife to be aware of? Anything like that we should know about to try and explain why, if your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there?
Absolutely not.
Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences? But let's focus on, well, for instance, I believe, let me just check the name there, make sure I've got the right address. Talking about the house that was just a couple of doors down from you there in Tweed.
A couple of doors down was Lori. I don't know her last name. I don't know.
Mazzacati?
I don't even know what her last name is, but there's the woman down the road, 3 doors down. Her name is Lori. I don't know her last name.
All right, let me just make sure we're on the same page here. My understanding is she lived at 76 Cozy Cove. Yeah, so she would be the one. The second incident on your road there,
Yep.
a couple of doors down. Ever been in her house?
No. We met her, I think, the first summer we were there, so in '04.
Okay. And that's what I'm getting at. Again, this is a credibility issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come and see you 2 weeks from now and say, Russ, CSI people were in that house. And are you familiar with how DNA works? One of the challenges that we have in 2010 with DNA is it's become so precise that I guess the best way to explain it is I can think back 15 years ago when I started in violent crime investigation. For us to get a DNA match, the sample we had to find was, probably would have filled half of one of these cups. Because they destroy so much of the sample in the testing. Essentially, DNA has become more and more precise to the point where when you and I walked in this room earlier today, we could have sat down, talked for 30 seconds, walked out. CSI officer could have come in 3-4 days from now, did some swabs here, and he would have found your DNA and my DNA, and probably a lot of other people's DNA.
Sure.
A little bit gross to think about, but essentially, as we talk, a little bit of aspirate comes out of our mouth that contains our DNA, or our skin cells contain our DNA, and that's what I'm getting at. If you were ever in Lori's residence, quite possibly, quite innocently, your DNA could be in that residence. Has there ever been a time you've been in there? Okay. What about the other lady down the road on?
I hadn't even heard that name, so no, I don't actually know who that was.
Okay. Have you ever visited France Como at her residence?
No.
All right. So you're quite positive there would be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those 3 locations. Okay. Did you know Jessica Lloyd even in passing for any reason?
No, I didn't hear her name till it was on the news.
And the reason I'm asking that is because I know you were asked that question on Thursday night, and sometimes what we find, and again, this is one of those situations that can sometimes cause us to get in a lengthy investigation as somebody that maybe doesn't deserve it. But what can happen sometimes is somebody gets stopped by the police like you did, and they get asked that question, and people, when they're stopped by the police, they can be nervous, okay? So they blurt out an answer, and then they start driving away, and they go, why'd I do that? Because the problem is that once they get asked again, then they feel compelled to maintain that answer for fear that if they change their answer, somebody could find it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. So I want to make sure that's not happening here. I don't care what you said to the officers on Thursday night last week. If there's any communication or contact between you and Jessica Lloyd? You've seen her picture, right, around town?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever seen her before?
I don't. No, I would say I have not.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned something about doing some renovations at your property in Tweed there. I think you said something earlier about tearing up carpet. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
Yeah.
Okay. When did all that happen?
In 2004 or 5.
Okay. Any recent renovations?
No.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I'm covering all the bases here. What kind of tires do you have on your Pathfinder?
I think they're Toyo.
Okay. Do you know the brand name or, sorry, the make?
I don't. Sorry, the make is Toyo.
Yeah.
I don't know the model.
I'll read this off to you, see if it rings a bell. Ever heard of, does Toyo Open Country HTS
That sounds
make any
right.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Tire tracks. Measure the. Russell, is there anything you can think of? Let's go talk about Marie France Como for a minute, okay?
Mm.
Is there any reason at all you can think of that during our investigation, obviously we're searching computers, things like Blackberries, right?
Mhm.
Electronic devices, looking through houses for things that are in handwriting, written notes, diaries, things like that.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not at liberty to tell you what the content was, but is there any reason at all in some of her writings?
Not at all. No, absolutely not.
Anything that she ever said to you that led you to believe that there might be something more than a passing interest with her towards you?
I'd go back occasionally and the case that's very.
Any questions for me right now?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to step out and see how things are going, okay?
Okay.
I mean, it is a Sunday, but there's probably 60, 70 people working on this file, so there's a lot of things happening.
Sure.
So let me go out and see what's happening, and then I'll come back in and we'll hopefully continue, okay?
Okay.
I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here, okay? Trying to be as discreet as possible,
Mhm.
okay? But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up, okay? And it's not issues that point away from you, it's issues that point at you, okay? And I want you to see what I mean, all
Mhm.
right? This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January,
Yeah.
okay? All right? Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is slightly smaller,
Okay.
all right? That's not to scale, the footwear is actually bigger.
Okay.
If you look here on the ruler, you'll see that 1 inch is just slightly smaller than an actual inch,
Okay.
okay? But this is the way it prints off on the computer. I'm going to move this over so you can see what I mean, all right? Because essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of your prints,
Mhm.
okay? And essentially, what we're talking about here is, especially when you start adding in other pieces of information that
Mhm.
support an investigative position,
Yeah.
okay? This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot
Yeah.
just a little while ago, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons, okay? You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through, there's several different prints to compare,
Mhm.
so we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off of another print to compare. These are identical. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay? You want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell, really fast. This is getting beyond my control. All right? I came in here a few hours ago, and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
I don't know what to say. That's
Well, you need to explain it, because this is the other problem we're having, Russell, okay? Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence, and so your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed. Your vehicle's been seized, okay? You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations. You and I both know that the unknown offender, male DNA on Marie France Como's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over, okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring, okay? We're applying, the investigators now applying for a warrant to search your office. These aren't decisions that we can say yes or no to. This is the practical steps in an investigation like this.
Mhm.
Listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay, as soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions, calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? You're just another, and again, don't take this wrong, okay, but you can see if you step outside this room in your mind and imagine how people are going to view you, okay, if the truth comes out after the clear evidence is presented to you, when you finally go, okay, I'm screwed now, what are we going to do? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong, okay, because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it, got off on having that label, Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know.
This is the most famous moment of the interrogation. The detective places the photos of the footprints found at a crime scene on the table. They match the colonel's boots perfectly. Look at Russell's face. The colonel masks it off. He stops making eye contact. He starts rubbing his face, a clear stress response. He realizes he can't lie his way out of physical evidence.
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure, but if you give me a map of covers Calabar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south, I'll show you.
See what I got here. I might have something. Is she inside, outside? It's probably the biggest area I have there, Russ.
You need more. You need a real map.
So where am I going on the? It's probably the biggest area I have there, Russ.
You need more. You need a real map.
So where am I going on the? Where to get to her?
In this block here.
Okay. So you're pointing to
a detailed map of that area, and I'll show you where she is.
Okay. Is she close to a road?
Yep.
All right. Is it something where is she buried, or is she somewhere where if you walk there, you would fairly easily see her?
It's here.
Okay. So she's south of 7, east of Tweed, west of 41, and what's this road here?
Not sure.
Neither am I. Okay. I'll be right back, okay? Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
I'll be right back. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left? Friday night?
Yep.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yep.
How long was she alive for?
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Okay. Russ, you're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Well, again, my interest is in my wife's life a little easier, her family as well.
We share that
But
interest.
there's no, your time in Ottawa is wasted.
Where are they?
They're in the house there, but
In Ottawa?
yeah.
Whereabouts?
Some in the camera bag, which they would have found in my office. And when you walk into the office on the left side, there's a set of drawers, like a filing cabinet, wooden, IKEA. In one of the top 2 drawers, and there's a plastic divider.
Yeah.
And inside there are 2 memory cards,
Okay.
which are blank, but I'm sure they can be
And whose images are on those cards?
Well, I've erased them, but I expect that you'll be able to draw images of.
What about Marie
There may be images on there as well.
and the 2 women from September?
Yep.
Do you have those images stored anywhere else?
Yeah, there are 2 hard drives in the house in Ottawa. I can draw you a little picture if you like.
Sure. Do you want to do that now while I'm
Sure.
getting them out? Do you want anything to eat or anything? Leave that with you. Okay.
But I do want to talk to you, Jim.
That's the plan. Okay. I'll be right back. You make it out there. You make it out. Somebody running around looking for an actual map, but I did the same thing with the Google Maps. Just have to glue them up a little bit more. This is the biggest of the area. This might have better parameters for you. There's Tweed. East Hungerford. Does that make sense? There it is there. Okay. How far off the road is she?
40 feet.
If she covered with anything?
She's wrapped up.
In
She's
what?
on the surface. A gray something or other cover.
Okay. Barry, the obvious question I'm going to have for you is when they go there, and they'll be there shortly, they're going to find her? Okay. I'll be right back. You look like you want to say something.
Just that this place, my wife, it's been a dream for a better part of a year, so I'm keen to get them what they need and so they can leave her alone.
Okay. Well, we're going to do our best to keep that as low-key as possible, okay? What do you want to talk about?
It's pretty wide open now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we start with Jessica? How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill, Wednesday night, I guess. And I noticed she wasn't there Thursday, so I got into the house, look around, and then left. Noticed she'd come home, so I went back in through the back patio door while she was sleeping.
The silence is heavy now. Williams is no longer the man in charge. He begins to whisper his confession. It is chilling how a man of his status can describe such dark acts so calmly. The detective doesn't interrupt him. He lets the guilt do the work. The transformation from a military hero to a serial killer is now complete.
Subdued her.
Any blood from that struggle?
No, not a whole bunch, but a flashlight did break her skin a couple of times.
Okay. What area of the basement did that take place in?
I was hiding behind the furnace, so she spotted me right there.
Okay. Did she recognize you?
No, I had stuff on my face.
So you go upstairs, and you said she suffocated?
Well, I suffocated her. I put tape on her. I put tape on her mouth, and then I put tape on her pelvis there so she couldn't breathe.
What kind of tape was it? What happened to it?
With me, and I can't remember what actually I did with it. I threw it in the garbage.
Did you use tape for any other purposes? Did she ever recognize you through this whole episode? What did you say you had on your face? Now this flashlight, where is that now? In the house?
Yeah.
What kind of flashlight is it?
It's a red 3DD. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it's a metal, one of these aluminum. It's like a big, I can't remember what brand, aircraft aluminum flashlights already see around. Anyway, it's a bigger one of those.
Did you take anything out of Marie France's house or Jessica Lloyd's house?
Yeah, some of their underwear.
Okay.
That's all.
And where is that?
It's in some boxes in the basement here in Ottawa, in that rec room. So we just moved in, so there are boxes everywhere. So on the same side as the furnace room, sort of in the back against the wall.
Okay. What do the other boxes look like?
I think one's a scanner, the box for my scanner.
Mm-hmm.
They're all right next to each other, so a quick look through the boxes there will find it.
How much underwear is in those boxes?
Probably 60 pieces or so total.
All women's?
Yeah, 60 pieces of theirs.
Of whose?
Of Jessica's and Marie-France.
So you took 60 pieces from between the two of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
All right. And they're in a, like when you talk about a scanner, is it a computer scanner box?
My computer scanner is up in the office, and its box is down in the basement, so
Okay.
it's inside that box.
Does any of the underwear in those boxes belong to anyone other than Marie France or just?
Yeah, there's some from each of the other two women.
Okay. Why don't we talk about those two women?
Mhm.
So the first one happened on the 16th, and I don't know why, I can't recall their names, but the lady that was lived closer to you.
No, Lori was closer to me.
Okay.
So the first one,
Mhm.
I had just spotted her from our boat, actually. I got into the house while she was asleep, noticed that she was alone, and just hit her with my hand while she was sleeping. Subdued her, mostly just my weight on top of her. Had her take off her pajamas, took some pictures, took some of her underwear and left.
And the other woman?
Same kind of deal. Got in through the back of the house.
Anything different about that story? Yeah. Pretty much the same story and exactly the same story, or two different things, right?
Yeah, no, not much different at all. I did have the flashlight that time. I hit her with a flashlight.
Why do you think these things happen? Have you spent much time thinking about that?
About why?
Yeah.
Pretty sure the answer.
Let me ask you this, did you like or dislike these women?
I didn't know any of them.
Okay.
I had met Marie-France that one time in our airplane.
Okay. I guess when you're going through these things, are you let's talk about Jessica, because she was there with you for the whole day, right? What kind of feelings were you experiencing while you were with her that day?
She was a very nice girl.
If I remember correctly, there's a bit of blood in there. Do you know where that blood how that would have occurred?
All the blood was from...
There's a pair of underwear and some socks on the floor of that bathroom that belonged to her. Do you remember how they got there? Do you remember seeing them?
No.
What do you recall doing to her breasts? It's pretty clear that there was something happened to her breasts. Do you remember what that might have been?
I certainly touched her breasts. I didn't do anything to hurt them.
I remember that.
No.
What do you mean?
Well, she was lying on the floor in the bedroom as I suffocated her and obviously struggled. May have been in there that something happened, but I didn't do anything specific to her breasts.
Okay. So when you suffocate her, that's when you had the duct tape over her mouth and nose?
Mhm.
And that's on the floor? And then what happens after that?
Well, she died and took the duct tape off her head and put her on the bed and covered her up with duvet.
And what was your thinking behind doing that? As you might expect, her arrest, certainly even now, one of the Ottawa investigators mentioned to me that there's a number of incidents that have gone unsolved over the years.
Can I go to the washroom quickly?
Yeah, I can get somebody to take you to the washroom. Okay.
Colonel,